Hi. Moving, oh my gracious, it is part of our life, unavoidable. But how we choose our home and how we move into that new home sets you up for the experience you're going to have there. Let's make it a really awesome one. My name is Lydia Nitya Griffith. This is Karma Chameleon, the channel for Feng Shui, Flying Stars Feng Shui, Bazi Chinese astrology. Often I like to read the charts of famous people and celebrities to better understand our own charts and our own lives. Welcome. If this is something that speaks to you, please subscribe, like, all those happy things so you don't miss a single episode. Welcome. So almost exactly to the day, this is my first anniversary in my home that I named Open Sky. The journey of deciding to move, looking for a home, and then packing and moving in is a process that can be one of the most stressful periods of our life. And we do it a lot. Some of us do. I think in my 20s, at the end of every lease, I would move. And there are times in our lives when we are more transient. Depends on, your life, what your work is and all of those things. I mean, and I know people that have stayed in a house for over 60 years. Nothing ever changed. Same wallpaper, same pictures on the walls. Yeah. And, if you follow my Flying Stars monthly videos, you notice how energy is a constant dance. Ooh, it's a constant movement. It's not stagnant, but we can make it stagnant by not changing things. By leaving things the same, they become stale. They don't refresh. And it's not about having the latest updated design. It's about creating your own design for where you are in that moment of your life. So let's begin with looking for that house. Here are some really great things to think about when you are looking at a home. And I'm going to channel one of my favorite clients. She was looking and looking and looking for years because I had originally feng shuied her home. It sat on the corner in a subdivision. It had the only 4 animals apparent was the phoenix, because this house sat literally with no trees, no bushes, no defining space at all. It just, like, the energy of her home just bled out into the neighborhood. And the driveway was a steep driveway up to this garage. And one of my least favorite home designs is a house where the garage is at the front of the house and it eats up so much of what you see of the house. It looks like the most important aspect of the house is the garage. A garage ideally is on the side or the back. And she and I drove around with her realtor once she had picked out several possible homes. And there were ones that we didn't even go into. And she's yelling at me, "We haven't even gone in. It's so pretty inside." And I'm like, no way. Just the exterior, 4 animals, is a disaster. And so I remember one of the places we walked into was so creepy. We kept looking just because of the creep factor. We both felt this bedroom in the upstairs was really dark and had some kind of injurious energy, like somebody had been really badly harmed in this house. And we literally ran out like a bunch of screaming teenagers. We had a lot of fun. And ultimately, I convinced her to buy the house that she is now in, and she's doing very well. And one of the things that I said to her as a single mom was to make sure that her neighbors were going to be people that were going to be kind to her. And that racism wasn't going to be a factor in her experience of living in this home. Ultimately, you want to feel like it's a place that you are safe and you are welcome. And it's a community of people that are going to be kind to you. In fact, the house that she bought, 2 doors down, those people have access to the lake near her home. And she was able to get them, she went over and introduced herself, and they said that she's welcome to use their dock if she wants to put a boat there and utilize the lake. That's community. That's good neighbors, right? And that's what you want. Absolutely. So as you're going around and looking at places, you want to make sure that the direction that the house faces is something that is going to be supportive of you. You do not want a house that rides between 2 directions, because then you're at death's gate. And I've talked about this in a previous video, where you want to make sure you are solid in a degree. You're not at the edge between 2 degrees where your house doesn't know where it is. I guarantee your time in that house is going to feel like you're sliding sideways down a hill. Unstable, a lot of things in flux, not a good pick at all. Doesn't matter how awesome the house is, unless you have the ability to change the front door, don't take it. Do not take a house like that. Not worth it. Get it right, right? You want to make sure you get your house right. My house is due north, 0 degrees. Perfect. I'll take that. So the facing direction, so very important to get that right. And to look at the location. That's the golden rule of real estate. Location, location. You do not want a house that is right along a highway. I see these big subdivisions going up, cookie cutter homes, all packed together, no trees, no shrubbery. It's awful. And you're right on a highway. There's so many layers of not good coming from a design like that or a home situation like that. You want ideally to be in a house where the road curves. And if you look in many major cities, the wealthiest, most beautiful homes are along rivers where the water flows and where roads are more likely to be curved. When we're in cities, it's more likely to be a grid of straight rows or straight streets and roadways. The other thing that's awesome is you want the road to hug you, to hug your house. Because if the road is external to your house, the opposite of hugging your house, it's like you're excluded. And that embrace from the road turns into a negative instead of a positive. The other thing about straight roads is that all the chi runs away. So, for instance, if a house, the dragon side, always remember your 4 animals. You want to see the 4 animals. If on the left side, as your back is to the front door, you're looking into the yard opens. The phoenix flies. You can see, yes, my life, my career, it's all going to expand and flow out. I have room to grow, room to expand. To the left, the dragon side represents the masculine, and it should be higher, but not so dramatic that the power of the man of the house becomes almost dangerous to the female. It should be kind of like a little bit higher, but not too crazy, right? Trees are welcome. Other buildings are welcome. And then that roadway, if there's a roadway here, make sure it isn't a fast moving road, because that's money and it will move fast, which means coming in, going out, coming in, going out, coming in, going out, making money, spending money. If that's the driveway, you know that the man of the house is going to be gone more from home than the wife. And this is all traditional, you know. And I mean, all due respect, you know, if there's two, you know, a gay couple in the house, beautiful. And you make those modifications. The female side, and again, this is all the traditional language, is the female side, and also allies, helpful friends, mentors. And that should be slightly lower. Maybe more like high shrubs, a garden, houses on that side that are slightly lower. And it is nice if they're equal. In nowadays world, it is kind of nice to have those two sides be equal. The back, the turtle, I love having trees back there. But it can be a high wall, and it also can be buildings or other homes. Look all around. Walk your property. Walk around the neighborhood. Get a feel for it. If you walk 2 blocks and all of a sudden you're in a neighborhood where you no longer feel safe, you probably want to rethink this. If you walk down the street and realize that there's a school down there with lots of traffic and school buses, are you going to want that to deal with that on a daily basis? Does somebody have a home daycare where you've got screaming kids that you're going to hear all day long and you work from home? The location is so important. I remember one home I feng shuied years ago was across the street from a cemetery. Put up a bagua mirror on the front door. Make sure you don't have any wind chimes because it draws all that spirit energy to your house. Locations to, in general, avoid: graveyards, churches, hospitals, schools. Those are like the 4 that I can think of that are the worst to be around. And a lot of that is very, well, except for the school, very yin energy. It's a yin energy that is not vibrant for day-to-day living. And likewise, a school is too yang, too elevated. In the same way, you don't want to be near a stadium. I remember when in my 20s living in Baltimore City I was in a condo, 2nd floor condo, row house near the Inner Harbor in Baltimore. And I was, I don't know, maybe 4 blocks from the stadium. I didn't have to go to any of the baseball games in the summer. I could open my window and just listen to the roar of the crowd and know that we had either won or lost the game. But it wasn't so close that it disturbed my sleep or was a problem for me. But you do want to anticipate that. So I always recommend go visit that neighborhood during different days of the week. What's your neighborhood like on a Saturday? What's it like on a weekday night or the middle of the week during the day? Come and visit different times of the day. Ask, what is the previous owner's history? Have we had deaths, sicknesses, divorces? I blessed a home. I talked about this in my Feng Shui stories video. I Feng Shuied a home. Actually, didn't Feng Shui. I blessed a home that the previous owners had divorced, and this couple wanted to ensure their home was going to support their beautiful marriage. They were happily married, and they were a little anxious about moving into this house with this kind of history. When you approach the home, avoid a cul-de-sac. They're awful design, terrible. They trap chi. They trap it in. If you're at the neck where you enter into the cul-de-sac, you're literally, it's like being strangled. If your house is at the end of a road, the end of the cul-de-sac, all the traffic is coming straight at your house. Terrible poison arrow. You also don't want to be near high voltage power lines. Very dangerous for your health. Look all around. So when you're looking at previous history, also ask, when was the house last renovated, and what were those renovations? So that you get a sense, was the house built in the 1970s, a mid-century modern rancher, and it's now 2023, the time I'm videoing this. When was it last updated? Oh, they renovated it in the 2000s, and they added this great room that used to be the garage. That's actually something that happens a lot. People take the garage and turn it into a living space. You see these tiny little row houses, and the garage is this huge living space that you're giving away to your car. I find it so bizarre that we do that. So I'll give you the history of my house. A year ago, moved into this home that is on about 8 acres. It was originally 800 acres. It was originally a tobacco farm built in the early 1900s. I know that there were 2 brothers here, that a second, I call it the sister house, is down the road, was built. And when the 2 brothers that grew up here were old enough, one lived in this house and one down the street. And they fought over the use of the 800 acres, and eventually it was parceled out and broken down into chunks. And they were fighting. There was a lot of fighting. I know that there was another couple that moved in the 1990s, stripped the house down to the studs, and, did a lot of really great renovation. New insulation, new sheetrock, replaced all the original windows, and then they got divorced. Now, did the house cause that? Did the great big renovation do that? Renovations, just like moving, shakes up the chi in a house so violently. Anything and everything that could go wrong often does. Often does. And then the most recent owner, the wife died within 2 years of living here. And then he got remarried, and that ended in divorce, which is how I got the house. Now, with that history and being a Feng Shui consultant, people might be like, you've got to be kidding for touching that house. Well, intention. So one of the things, because sometimes we don't know anything about the house unless you are lucky enough to find research or ask neighbors. The first thing I did when I took occupancy October 1st last year was I came in and I saged the house and did a big blessing. I set an intention. And part of my intention was to acknowledge and recognize the history of the house and say, but now the history changes. And I set a very clear intention in building this relationship, this energetic relationship with both my house and the land. That I do not own you. We are here in relationship with each other. I ask that you keep me safe. You help me to thrive in my life. That I am abundant in health, wealth, relationships, all things. And I, in kind, will rewild the fields so that the animals and birds return. And I will live here in harmony with you. Let's co-create this. That is how you move into a home. As I was packing my other house and it was becoming squished so that I had little pathways between boxes, my anxiety got so severe, I went and stayed at my boyfriend's. It was no longer healthy for me to stay in the house so filled with boxes for weeks at a time. And I think in that way, getting those storage bins that are placed on your lawn where you can put all the boxes as you're packing is a far healthier option if you have that option. Be really mindful with your packing to do it in a way that is organized, that you have a staging area for all the boxes to go, well labeled. And recognize the importance of blessing your home before you move in, of saging it, saying a mantra, a blessing, a prayer. When you move in, recognize those first 30 days, anything and everything can go right or wrong. You have shaken up all the energy, banging all this furniture and boxes and all the things that you're doing, like replacing fixtures or whatever. Be very mindful of what happens in your house in those first 30 days. And then once you have everything unpacked, which I would never leave a house unpacked and unset up for more than 30 days. You're asking for trouble, truly asking for trouble. And so within 30 days, having the house set up and getting everything feng shuied from the start. One of my favorite things is to do a feng shui of a new home when you're just first moving in. Because then you get all the colors, the purposes for each rooms, you get it all right at the beginning. Makes so much sense. It's a lot harder to undo it once it's all set up. So then it's like you've got everything set. I had my house because of an event that was happening. I had to have everything set up in 1 week. In 1 week. And I was working a full-time job then. It was insane. I don't think I stopped and I barely slept. But I got it done. And once everything's set, then again, do another blessing and another saging. To soothe the chi in the house. Play music that is orchestral, instrumental, spiritual in nature. Bring in those qualities of tranquility in every way you can as a way to almost allow all that chi to settle back down and to come into a relationship with it that is going to be healthy and supportive. You're co-creating your home with the house, with that apartment. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. Now, one thing I will say is that as you're walking into the house, make sure that when you walk in, you don't walk in and the first thing you see is a bathroom door or a closet door. Not welcome. Make sure things like the water heater or the furnace aren't in the center of the house. Not a favorite design. Make sure that when you walk in the door, there isn't a straight hallway to the back door with big windows or double doors that shows lots of light coming in, where all the chi coming in the front door is going to run right out through the back. Another not favorite design of many homes is you open the front door and immediately you see the stairs. So all the chi coming in the front door goes right up the stairs and away. You can hang a little faceted crystal from the bottom step, the ceiling up there. That will help break that. Having a mirror in the hallway or pictures with glass and frames along the hallway and a runner rug will help slow the chi if you have a house with the front and back door lining up with each other. Make sure that you don't have these massive cathedral ceilings and big ginormous chandeliers and lots of mirrors. It is yang, yang, yang. All right, for a living room or a great room, family room, but not all over the house. Certainly not the bedroom. It's very yang. It's very hard to relax or sleep in a house with a lot of big high ceilings. Also making sure that the ceilings don't feel low. I'm a tall person. Ranchers, I struggle with them. Some of them have very low ceilings. And also some of these houses with very unique interior design have a lot of angles, oddly shaped rooms. Make sure that you don't have angles, the corners of walls pointing at you as you're sitting or lying in bed. Go through the house and imagine your furniture in there. Imagine all of the components that are in your current home moving into that one, because I can tell you how many times the furniture from one house doesn't work for the new house. Yeah, it's one of those decisions we make we do not want to get wrong. I only looked at 3 houses. I've never looked for a house before in my life. This was a big deal. I knew it the moment I drove in the driveway. This was my house. Just knew it. And tap into that sense of knowing. And hire someone like me, a Feng Shui consultant, to take you out and double check that the places that you are considering are going to be the right choice for you. And remember that when I do a consultation, you get a complimentary Bazi Chinese astrology reading. It's a nice perk. And we can definitely do this virtually. Let's go. I'm ready to find you that next great house. Or to make the house that you're in work more, be more functioning and wonderful for you. So until next time, friends, be well.